Closing arguments are set to begin today in the trial of actor Jonathan Majors for allegedly assaulting and harassing his ex-girlfriend.
And joining us now to discuss, ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky and ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmire. Aaron, I want to start with you. So Majors is a Marvel star who's pleaded not guilty to all charges. We have to say that. He's also opted not to testify. So fill us in kind of what's going on in this trial.
We're at closing arguments. The jury is on the verge of deciding this case that could decide the trajectory of Jonathan Majors' career. As you say, he was on the cusp of superstardom from Creed 3, from Loki, from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and on the set of Quantumania is where he met Grace Jabari back in 2021. They dated for a couple of years. But last March, here in New York City, they were on their way back from dinner, and she says that in the back of their for-hire SUV, a text message popped up on his phone from another woman. "I wish I was kissing you right now," the message said. And she was enraged, and she grabbed the phone and then says he assaulted her. And he's charged with misdemeanor assault and harassment. My friend Brian Buckmire would tell you there is no evidence of violence before she grabbed for his phone, but the jury did hear evidence of violence in their relationship, both physical and verbal, over the course of the 2 years they've been dating.
And Brian, you say this trial is focused on two major components. Was he an abuser, or was he someone who was trying to get his cell phone back and get away from his attacker?
Absolutely, and that's what's going to happen come summation, where both sides are going to have the opportunity to kind of paint the picture of this case. The defense will go first, and the prosecution will have the last word as they're bringing the case. And for the defense, I think the case hinges on, okay, Jonathan Majors may not be the person you want to date your sister, or may not be the greatest boyfriend in this relationship, but the allegations of physical assault happened when she took his property. And the law says if someone takes your property, you have the right to use non-deadly force to take it back. The question is, was his force excessive or not? And I think the defense is going to have to try to separate the horrible boyfriend aspect and the emotional and verbal abuse that we saw in these text messages from the actual act of him taking his cell phone back and then running down the street being chased by her. And the major question that they've kind of posted as well is, was she actually injured? As we see these videos and the testimony from her friends that she met on the street, of not really seeing this broken finger or using it to push back her hair where her ear is injured, that's something the jury's gonna have to decide today.
Now let's talk about some of that evidence, Aaron. He just mentioned it, the video, the text messages, the photos, the audio. The judge allowed them to be introduced. What does it show us? It
shows us a couple of things. There is evidence of injury. She has a laceration behind her ear. Her finger is discolored from where she says that Majors fractured it. You also see what happens not inside the SUV where the alleged assault occurred, Eva, but what happened after. Jonathan Majors tries to get out of the car and hoists her up and shoves her back in the car and then tries to take off, and she gives chase down the block for several blocks, crosses traffic, and he's pushing her away and running off. And then you see video of her in a nightclub. She runs into these people. She didn't have her phone. She was in distress. She was upset by his apparent infidelity, and they take her to a club and she goes dancing. And for the defense, that's not a great look. If you were just assaulted, why are you in a club drinking and dancing? She says she didn't want to be alone. She was emotionally fragile. She found people to help her in her time of need.
And Brian, with this said, how damning is the video and what's next?
Right now, closing arguments. Then the jury will deliberate as to the charges, and he's going to come back with a guilt or not guilty. I would expect, if I was a betting man, we'll probably find out sometime this week. But what comes after that? Is he going to have a criminal record? Is he going to lose everything based on these allegations, or maybe even a conviction? But even if he is convicted, I would expect an appeal. And for someone, whether it be someone sitting between the four of us or another attorney, to pick up his case and argue the appeal, we'll see what happens next. But I think in terms of these allegations, his reputation may never come back.
Yeah, talk about that reputation. I mean, the court of public opinion.
Tough, because the jury saw these prior episodes. He's throwing candles at her head and they smash against the wall. Text messages dissuading her from going to the hospital after some prior altercation. What's that about?
Yeah, a lot to think about there. Thank you both for being here. Aaron and Brian, always appreciate you.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.